What a day to be a Celtic supporter. The energy around Celtic Park right now is something else entirely, like the heartbeat of Glasgow pounding in perfect rhythm with every chant and cheer. That match against Rangers, my word, it was the kind of game that reminds you exactly why we love this sport. The kind of day where your voice is gone by full time, your throat's raw from shouting, but your heart is full because you've just watched Celtic play the way Celtic are meant to play. From the very first whistle, there was no hesitation, no waiting around to see how Rangers might set up. Celtic went straight for the throat. Intensity, hunger, aggression, everything that's been missing in those recent derbies came flooding back. The players looked alive again, like a spark had finally been reignited in that dressing room. You could sense right away that something had shifted. Every player looked like he had a point to prove. Maybe it's the change in the dugout. Maybe it's just the weight of frustration that's finally lifted, but the fire was unmistakable. The way the midfield snapped into tackles, the forwards pressed like their lives depended on it. Even the defenders were stepping out with purpose, moving the ball forward instead of sitting back. That's Celtic football. That's what we've been desperate to see. And let's be honest, it's been a while since we've seen that level of intensity, that fearless approach. What stood out most was how composed, and yet how ferocious Celtic were. The backline, especially with Trusty and Scales, looked confident, pushing the team forward with every touch. They weren't afraid to drive into space, to take responsibility, to lift the team out of its own half. It set the tone. You could see the belief spreading across the pitch, Callum McGregor barking instructions, Johnny Kenny fighting for every ball, Maeda flying into challenges like a man possessed. And Maeda, let's talk about him for a moment. That was the version of Maeda we all knew existed. The tireless workhorse who not only runs himself into the ground, but makes everyone around him work harder. When that reckless challenge went flying in on Ralston, it was Maeda who reacted first, standing up for his teammate, full of passion. That kind of response says everything. It's not something we often see from him, but in that moment, you saw just how much the badge means to him. This wasn't just another league fixture. This was Celtic versus Rangers, a match that carries history, pride, identity, and Maeda played like he knew exactly what it meant. His pressing was relentless, forcing Rangers into mistake after mistake. Their backline looked terrified every time he chased them down, and that nervousness only grew as the game went on. You could sense the fear in the Rangers' defense early doors. One slip, one shaky touch, and Celtic were on them like lightning. It started with that awkward moment from their center back when the ball rolled under his foot. The crowd roared, and you could practically feel the anxiety ripple through their team. From that instant, Celtic smelled blood. Every press, every tackle, every surge forward. It felt like Rangers couldn't catch a breath. That's the psychological side of this rivalry. Once one team asserts dominance, the other begins to crumble. And Celtic were absolutely dominant in that first half. I can't remember the last time I saw Celtic so determined to win every second ball. They weren't just reacting, they were dictating. It was the kind of performance that said, we're here, and we're not backing down. You could see the players feeding off the crowd, and the crowd feeding off them in return. Every pass, every interception, every challenge brought the noise to another level. You could almost feel Celtic Park breathing as one. Now, a lot of people have talked about the difference since Brendan Rodgers' departure. Say what you will about Rodgers, he's a great manager, but sometimes things just grow stale. The connection wasn't there anymore. The spark had gone out. And with Martin O'Neill and Sean Maloney stepping in, you can tell the players are suddenly playing with freedom again. They're smiling, they're taking risks, they're fighting for each other. It's like the weight's been lifted off their shoulders, and you can see that freedom reflected in their football. Callum McGregor, in particular, looked like a captain reborn. He was everywhere, breaking up play, orchestrating attacks, leading by example. There was a moment when he clattered into a 50-50 and won the ball cleanly, and you could hear the roar of approval from the stands. That's what Celtic supporters live for. It's not just the goals, it's the effort, the grit, the pride. This was football the Celtic way. Intensity, intelligence, and a refusal to be bullied. Even the way the team reacted to the rough moments showed something new. When Ralston went down from that dangerous challenge, nobody shied away. They surrounded the ref, they defended their man, and they did it with purpose. Not reckless aggression, but unity. You could see it in Maeda's reaction, in McGregor's composure, in every player's body language. Celtic were together again. And let's not forget Johnny Kenny. That lad's energy was outstanding. He ran, he fought, he took hits, and still found the strength to drive forward. His goal was well-deserved, coming from a beautifully delivered corner by Angles, who, by the way, was absolutely outstanding on the day. His crossing was on point, his movement intelligent, and his work rate relentless. Every time he got the ball, something happened. That's what you want from a Celtic winger: directness, courage, creativity. What's fascinating is how the mood around the club has completely transformed in just a matter of days. A week ago, fans were anxious, frustrated, maybe even deflated. But now, it feels like a new dawn. The supporters believe again, the players believe again, and the football we're seeing reflects that belief. The tempo is up, the confidence is back, and even in moments of pressure, Celtic looked calm and dangerous. There were controversial moments, of course, because it wouldn't be an Old Firm derby without a bit of drama. But regardless of what Rangers fans might say afterward, the truth is that Celtic earned this win through hard work and hunger. Yes, there were calls that could have gone either way, but overall, the better team won, and it wasn't even close. You could feel that this match was about more than just a scoreline. It was about a statement. A message that Celtic are still here, still proud, still playing the football that makes this club what it is. Every tackle, every counterattack screamed passion. And that's what makes this team special when it's clicking. The combination of heart and skill, that fearless drive to dominate from start to finish. Watching Maeda chase down defenders like a man possessed, seeing McGregor dictating play with calm authority, witnessing the backline step up and play with courage, it all came together beautifully. The fans felt it, the players felt it, and you could tell the opposition felt it too. Rangers looked like a side that didn't know how to handle that pressure, and Celtic just kept tightening the screws. When you see a Celtic team play like that, fighting for every inch, fearless in every duel, you remember exactly what makes this club so beloved. It's more than talent, it's character. And in a derby, character wins as much as quality. That unity, that willpower, that fire, it's what separates good sides from great ones. Celtic were great today, and the whole of Glasgow felt it. The roar that followed the final whistle wasn't just celebration. It was relief, pride, and a declaration. Celtic are back playing with heart. You can hear it in every chant of "Hail, Hail" echoing through the stands. You can feel it in the way supporters lingered after the game, singing, smiling, soaking it all in. This wasn't just 3 goals and a win over Rangers. It was a reminder of who we are. If the first half was a statement of intent, the second half was a masterclass in control. Celtic didn't just defend their lead. They managed the game with the kind of maturity and confidence that comes from belief being restored. Every player on that pitch looked like they knew exactly what their job was, and they carried it out to perfection. There was a sense of calm, even as Rangers tried to claw their way back into the match. You could see their frustration growing, their movements getting frantic, while Celtic just kept their composure, picking their moments, hitting on the counter, and dictating the tempo when they needed to slow things down. There's a saying that great teams don't just play football, they control emotions. And that's exactly what Celtic did. They didn't get drawn into the chaos, even when decisions went against them, even when the crowd erupted over a foul or a shove. McGregor and Maeda kept the team grounded, constantly communicating, constantly pushing the line higher. And every time Rangers tried to build something, they found Trusty or Scales cutting out the danger before it could even develop. It's that kind of anticipation, that sharpness, that separates a good performance from a winning one. You could tell that the team had learned from previous derbies. In the past, Celtic might have been guilty of easing off too early or letting emotions get the better of them. Not this time. This time, they played like a team that had something to prove. Every tackle was timed perfectly, every clearance was decisive, every run had purpose. Even when the referee gave that debatable penalty decision, the players didn't lose their heads. They regrouped, kept their shape, and responded the right way, by playing their football. And what football it was. The movement, the precision, the balance between attack and defense. It was everything that supporters have been crying out for. You could see how O'Neill and Maloney's influence is already paying off. They've given the players the freedom to express themselves again, but within a structure that actually makes sense. The transitions were sharp, the pressing was coordinated, and the energy never dropped. Celtic didn't just play with passion, they played with intelligence. Maeda, once again, set the tone with his relentless work rate. Even in the 75th minute, he was still sprinting, still pressing, still forcing errors. You could see the Rangers defenders glancing over their shoulders, dreading the sight of him coming at them again. That's what pressure does. It forces mistakes. It breaks confidence. And that's exactly what happened. Every time Celtic turned the ball over, there was danger. The front line moved in sync, and suddenly you had Johnny Kinney darting in behind, Angles stretching the play wide, McGregor arriving late in the box. It was chaos for Rangers. And yet, through all that chaos, Celtic never looked out of control. That's the beauty of it. You could see the trust between players again, that chemistry that had been missing for months. Simple things like a midfielder dropping deep to offer an outlet, or a winger tracking back without being told. It all adds up. It all builds that sense of unity. And unity is what wins derbies. When the third goal went in, the eruption from the stands said it all. It wasn't just celebration, it was catharsis. The release of weeks, maybe even months, of frustration. The belief that this team could play like that was always there, buried under disappointment and fatigue, and suddenly it was back in full force. The players knew it too. You could see it in their faces, that mix of exhaustion and joy that comes only from giving everything you've got. Rangers tried to fight back, but it was like running into a brick wall. Every time they pushed forward, Celtic absorbed the pressure and hit back with purpose. There was a confidence in the defending, a swagger almost, that said, "Not today." Trusty, who had been immense all game, seemed to grow taller with every clearance. Scales played like a man on a mission, reading the play brilliantly. Even the fullbacks, Ralston and Angles, were solid, mixing grit with composure. And behind them, the goalkeeper's calm presence gave the entire backline assurance. What was just as impressive as the physical performance was the mental one. Because these games are as much about mindset as they are about tactics. The noise, the intensity, the pressure, it can swallow players whole. But Celtic looked fearless. They played like a team that knew the occasion, but didn't fear it. They embraced it. Every challenge, every sprint, every interception felt deliberate, purposeful, almost symbolic of a team rediscovering its identity. And that's the word that keeps coming back, identity. Celtic looked like Celtic again. The kind of football that doesn't just win matches, but wins respect. The kind that makes the fans proud to wear the colors. The kind that brings a city to life. It wasn't about individual brilliance, even though there were plenty of standout performances. It was about the collective, about everyone pulling in the same direction. Before we proceed, subscribe to our channel and enable notifications to receive all exclusive news about Celtic FC. Don't miss any details about your favorite team. It's extremely important for Celtic FC fans. The rumor mill has been churning fierce in the Scottish football scene this week, and at the center of it, none other than John McGINN. According to whispers swirling through the corridors of power, the former Aston Villa talisman has reportedly made a shock exit from Villa Park and is already making waves at Celtic. While nothing's official yet, sources close to the hoops claim McGINN has quickly become a commanding presence in the dressing room, with teammates already hailing his leadership qualities. McGINN, who's long been admired for his tireless engine in midfield and knack for popping up with crucial goals, apparently brings a mix of experience, grit, and that cheeky Glaswegian charm that seems to make teammates listen when he speaks. Folks around Lennoxtown say he's not just talking tactics. He's reshaping the mood in the squad, pushing the younger lads to raise their game, and even sparking some healthy rivalry in training. It's the sort of aura that doesn't appear overnight. But if the rumor is to be believed, McGinn's settling in faster than many expected. Over in England, Aston Villa fans are said to be left scratching their heads. McGINN had been a fan favorite at Villa Park, captaining the team with heart and determination. But speculation is rife that a combination of ambition, the lure of European nights, and a desire to return north played a part in his departure. The timing is curious, coming just as the Premiership season was gathering pace. Yet insiders suggest this move was quietly planned for months, with McGINN keen to embrace a fresh challenge. The gossip isn't limited to the dressing room. Supporters at Celtic Park are already buzzing at the thought of McGinn's arrival. Some claim he could be the missing link in a midfield that's been searching for someone to dictate tempo, while chipping in with crucial goals. Others, more cautious, are watching to see if he can transfer his Aston Villa form to the high-octane demands of Scottish football. Either way, the story is growing by the day, and the murmur around Glasgow is that McGINN might just be the signing that redefines the hoop season. For now, it's all whispers, hints, and early morning messages from insiders. But if McGINN really is taking the Celtic reins, expect the Scottish Premiership to feel the tremor all the way from Parkhead to Pittodrie. Hello, fan. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, as it means a lot to Celtic FC. Also, share your opinion about the news in the comments below. See you in the next video.